We're going to have a lot of fun today. You guys are going to be doing all the work together as groups. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and just by way of prep, make sure you have pen and paper beside you. You may not necessarily be doing all the writing yourself. You may appoint a scribe, but it will soon become apparent as hopefully this goes well. I've never done this virtually, but you guys are first. This is history in making. So you guys get the dubious life distinction. All right, where am I going? I'm just going to load up today's slide deck, and then we will get going. All right, let us share my screen. All right, so everyone can see the screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so today is the first time we are running this as a workshop. So you are going to build all of the ideas that we talked about in terms of innovation, fostering creativity, working in teams, working interdisciplinarily, looking at how constraints might inform design, and then shooting that over to the business and real world practical side. So by the end of this session, you will have built businesses that may or may not defy the laws of physics. Today is all about learning how to brainstorm, learning how to build on ideas, and then turn them into reality. Virtual edition. So just as a quick throwback to last time, we spoke about space medicine, and I think it was Khadija who had asked about how psychological resilience can feed into overall mental well-being and health. And I talked about the astronaut mentality webinar series I'd done earlier this year. So I have included that link in the slide deck just for your own interest. So without further ado, we're going to talk about making things better. So throw back to 2 classes from now, prior to today, we talked about how things can be repurposed, how we can innovate. We talked about repurposing the bottle. We talked about re-engineering the bottle and its cohesive surface properties. So now you're going to do the same thing. So this is a workshop. It is divided into 3 parts. The first one, we're still fairly early into the course. You're still just getting to know each other. We kind of know each other from introductions that we did in the first session that I taught. But now you're going to get to know each other a little bit better because you're going to be working in teams a little bit later. So what I would like you to do over the next 2 minutes is take your pen and paper and then write on your paper, talk to me about 1, 2, 3. And this can be anything, the things that you wouldn't mind talking to someone else about, whether it's your favorite color, your pet dog, your idea to become a trillionaire, whatever you want. So take a couple of minutes now to do that. And then once those 2 minutes have passed, I will tell you what you're going to do with that information. All right, so go on ahead. All right, does anyone need any more time at all to write down a few more things about themselves? All right, so turn on your cameras and give me a thumbs up if you are done. And then give me a thumbs down if you need more time. All right, so it looks like everyone is ready. Perfect, I'm seeing thumbs up across the board. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to throw you into breakout rooms. And what you're gonna do is we're gonna do this for 2 minutes at a time, and you're each over the 2 minutes, make sure you give each other enough time. You're gonna pick one thing, you're gonna hold up your list to each other's screen, and then you're going to say, you know, tell me about item number 2, and tell me about item number 3, and make sure that you're both kind of asking each other about each other's background. And the idea is just to break the ice. And then once 2 minutes are up, we'll switch around, and then depending on time, we may do that a third time. So let me get going with the breakout rooms here. And be right with Chipper. Breakout rooms, perfect. Assign 2 people, and we will go automatically. And then if Kim and myself get assigned, we'll just excuse ourselves so that you guys can get to know each other. Oh. So, Khadijah, I'm going to put you in a room. Breakout room's fine. Oh, perfect. Okay, everyone is in a breakout room. Excellent. And Kim, am I still the host? My setup has changed a little bit. Can you double check?
Let's see here. Check this thing. Breakout rooms are start. Shawna Pandya. Make host. Make Shawna. I don't know why it changed back to me. Okay.
Yeah, I tried to join breakout room 4, and then because I put 3 people in there, so I was going to tell them, and then it kicked me out. So let me just, I may get kicked out again, but let me try this.
Hello.
Hello.
So let's see. We're still trying to. I guess I need to be out of here so I can see everybody. So I'm going to leave the room here.
Okay.
Leave.
I am back. That went well.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we'll say 30 seconds. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is almost like diving into a portal. Like you're there 1 second and then you're not, and then you resurface.
Yeah.
I've been in rooms before, breakout rooms before, but I've never run them. It's like being the hand of God.
Yeah, wow, we're so powerful.
I have
Look at
absolute
that.
power.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
we didn't lose any people as far as I can tell. Yeah, that's excellent.
All right. So everyone is back. Welcome back. Okay. So how was that?
I think that was fantastic.
Yeah.
We were just saying in our group, this is the first time we've been all able to talk as classmates, so that was really good.
Yeah, excellent.
Great.
Wow.
And Eduardo has reminded me that I totally forgot to bring a bird picture, but I'm glad at least Eduardo remembered. Very awesome to see your friend. And my apologies to Kaylin. So I thought that there was an odd number and put 3 of you in a room together, and then poor Kaylin was alone. So I will make sure that doesn't happen. So we'll only do a second iteration just because it takes time to go in and out of the breakout rooms. But we'll give you 4 minutes just to account for the break-in, breakout time, okay? So stand by. I'm going to roll the dice, and we'll see where you all end up, and we'll go from there. Okay, and then send me a message or pop out if you end up somehow being in the same room all over again. Recreate. And then Jewel, I'm going to move you in with Eduardo. And then Kim. All right. See you soon. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We'll wait for the rest to appear. Honestly, this just reminds me of like Mario when you go down a pipe and then you come out another. I shouldn't be this odd by technology and a technology in the future medicine course, but
Yeah, it's
it's actually
really
pretty fun.
otherworldly. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and it's really fun because so you guys won't know because this is your first time in the class, but most of the time, you know, I'll walk around from group to group and catch snippets of conversations here and there, and this way, like to be a fly on the wall, I have to jump into a portal and you know catch snippets of really cool conversations. You know, seeing birds and figuring out who owned a business and who was national jump rope champion. You guys are very interesting people, so.
It's great.
We're going to cap it at 2 rounds just because of the buffer time it takes to go in and out of virtual rooms. That being said, let's do a quick debrief. How was that? Anything fascinating you found out? I'm guessing you wished you had more time to talk to each other because that's the number one thing people say is that the time usually with 2 minutes is too brief. But the idea is to get you interested in talking more and building connections. So any insights from that exercise?
Well, it's super important to get that more personal link for the exchange of ideas. And I think overall, maybe in the future will be more interactive, which in the end will be very, very fruitful for the class.
Yeah. Perfect. Did anyone learn anything that blew their mind about someone or learn something new or anything else in general?
So we learned in our first group, we learned that Eduardo is doing his PhD and doing research on a molecule that is found in saliva that can actually indicate how stressed a person is. So I don't know all the details, obviously, but it seems like a really interesting research topic and could have some really interesting potential applications into you know the real world.
Very cool. Is that salivary cortisol, Eduardo?
No, it's a molecule called CAPS1, and you know, it's the first time our group is the first one to describe its beneficial link to stress and resilience to stress as well. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
You guys are all just so interesting, and I will stop asking questions because we won't get to the rest of the exercise. So I probably should have led with this, but what I want you to get out of this workshop, obviously teamwork, building bridges, interdisciplinary cross collaboration. The next thing we're going to do is all about learning the art of brainstorming, how to productively brainstorm, how to think differently, how to build on ideas. And then the last part, we're going to turn ideas into reality, as well as talk about the land of unintended consequences. And this actually rose up a couple of sessions ago, I think last session or the session before that, when we had an ethicist in the class. So away we go. All right, so we've done the talk to me about exercise. So now we're going to talk about how we brainstorm. I wish I could take credit for this, but these are actually IDEO brainstorming rules. So IDEO is a famous design firm, and in previous versions of this class, I've included case studies about how they design and how they build. But their ideas for brainstorming are quite good, and so when you guys get to the next exercise over the course of 15 minutes, I just want you to go for full-on volume. So I'm going to divide you up into 2 groups of 4, and you'll be in those groups of 4 for the rest of the class. And I want you to appoint a scribe who will write all your ideas. Make sure that your scribe is getting a chance to put down ideas as well, not just relegated to being a note taker. And be wild, be crazy, go for volume. Don't say, oh, that's dumb, that would defy the laws of physics. You can't go faster than speed of light. That's a later problem. So defer judgment, encourage wild ideas, build on each other's ideas, but don't get off topic.
Sorry to interrupt. We cannot see the PowerPoint.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. Okay, let me, I think I must have stopped my screen share. Okay, let me, thanks. See that? Okay. You should be able to see it now.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So stay focused on topic. Don't talk over each other, but have one person speak at a time. But I think the mic solves that problem. You may want to screenshot some of these for referral in your own breakout rooms. And if you want at any time, just send me a message and I'll be jumping between the groups to help you guys out. And then this is your next exercise. So in your groups of 4 over the next 15 minutes, you're going to pick one of these topics and then just generate volumes of ideas solely dedicated to that one topic. So things that you really wish existed, cure to coronavirus, who knows what you come up with there. Things that drive you crazy, pet peeves, that's always a good one to get volume and ideas going. Greatest challenges in the world, there's lots of them. Greatest trends and technologies. Ways to positively impact either 10 people, 100, all the way up to 1 million. And then because it's a pandemic year, ways to cure coronavirus. So I'm going to randomly assign you, and then I'll be leaping in between. Are there any questions before we go into the next exercise? All right, let me find my breakout rooms here. I see there's a message in the chat. Oh, that was you guys telling me you can't see the PowerPoint. Okay, here we go. Create into 2 rooms. Five. All right. See you guys soon.
Spartan Bioscience is a Canadian biotechnology company working to deploy a made-in-Canada portable DNA test for COVID-19. Great things happen when health innovators and...
In the words of famed American philosopher John Plutarski, nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no! President Donald Trump is an underdog to win a second term against Joe Biden this November. That is a fact. But that does not mean that the incumbent cannot win. That is also a fact. In fact, as of early September, there were stirrings of some movement in the electoral map toward Trump. Or at least signs that the political freefall he's been in for months has finally ended. So the big news came out of the Cook Political Report, one of the preeminent political handicapping services in the country, which moved two states, Florida and Nevada, in the president's direction. Florida moved from lean Democrat to toss-up, while Nevada went from likely Democrat to lean Democrat. Quote, Biden's electoral college lead has narrowed to 279 and 187 for Trump, wrote Cook's Amy Walter of the News, adding, earlier this summer, Biden held a 308 to 187. Quote. Now, around that same time, The Economist updated its own electoral model, writing this. Quote, in early June, The Economist published its own statistical forecasting model for this November's presidential contest. It got
No.
All good.
You can just write it down.
Yeah, I will.
Joel, I got your idea.
You got one. Okay, great. I didn't know it was cutting off. That's quite good.
Yeah, and I just texted you one more.
Where'd you message me?
Facebook.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, it looks like we are all back. Welcome back. I heard some really good productive discussions. Felt like you guys were wanting to have more time. Are you seeing the broadcast messages that I'm sending out in the rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. Okie doke. So any feedback on that before we go to the last part of this workshop?
It was amazing.
Okay, I like it. Perfect. All right, so I was very, very busy while you guys were hard at work, and I did scrounge up some photos of birds as promised. So before we go to the next exercise, here are my little parakeets. This is the most important takeaway clearly from the lecture.
Oh,
So
we cannot see your PowerPoint.
oh shoot, yes, okay, right. It automatically stops sharing. Okay, let's fix that. All right, so these are my little parakeets.
Oh,
The
God.
one,
Yay.
that's Sky and that's Tiku. So as promised, I am crazy about birds. But let's truck on. Okay, so last part of this lecture. Okay, you're going to take one of many ideas that you have generated. And what you are going to do is you are going to answer all of these questions in a short presentation. So we have about 45 minutes left, 35 minutes left. So we will spend 20 of those minutes in creating a presentation. And then we will come back and do 2 7-minute presentations. And then that should take us to the end of the class with a little bit of time left to debrief. So your 20-minute mission right now is to pick one of these ideas and turn it into a business. So tell me what your idea is, what you're selling, what need it serves or what problem it solves, who's going to use it versus who's going to buy it. Because remember, those are 2 different things. If you think of toys, children use it, parents buy it. What your business model is, how you're going to make money, what threats or what hurdles you'll face, who could help you with your mission, what external help you need. If you have time, a little bit harder on Zoom, what your product and company is called and your company logo, and the first concrete step you need to take today to come one step closer to reality. So I'm just going to pause here for a second so you can screenshot this as you go along or take a photo with your phone or something like that. And then the alternate version that'll also give you a second to screenshot is business plan Mad Libs. So you can just fill in the blank as you work away. So at Company X, we've created product name and description because of problem designed for user. It will appeal to the buyer because of this value add. We anticipate X hurdles and will overcome them by Y mitigation strategy. Some of our strengths include assets, networks, whatever you have at your disposal, and we will make money by telling you your business model. And the first step we need to take today to achieve this goal is, and then a single step. So 20 minutes to answer these questions and plan to present them as a team. You can dedicate a speaker or you can take turns speaking, and then we'll give you guys probably 5 minutes for your presentation, 2 minutes at the end for questions for a total of 7 minutes. That'll take us to just before the classes end, and then we'll just quickly debrief as a group. Any questions about that?
Are we going to be in the same group?
Yes, you are in the same groups. Okay, quickly tell me who's in what group so I can assign you accordingly.
I think if you open up the breakout rooms again, it should still have us in our groups.
Oh, excellent. Let's do that.
If not, then oops.
That's fine. I'm sure you remember who you were with, I hope. Okay, breakout rooms. Okay, perfect. So I had Ashley, Devansh, Kaylin, Leanne in the
Yep.
first one, and then Eduardo, Joel, Khadijah, and Nicole in the second one. Sound about right?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right. Off to it, and then at 10 after, we'll reconvene, maybe a little bit before.
Mm.
Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So I heard some good discussion and some good ideas. So in the last 10 minutes, what we'll do is we'll give you each 5 minutes to present, and we'll leave room for at least one question at the end. We may end up going 1 to 2 minutes over. Can I have a volunteer group to go first?
Should we go first?
Yeah, we can go first.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll
Go
share
to it.
screen. And can you see the slides? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So our product is called Drug Print. Our team is Nicole, Hadija, Joel, and myself. And our mission will be presented by Joel.
Yeah, so absolutely, the mission. What is the problem? So the issue is that there's a lot of accessibility needs for patients who live in rural and remote areas. So whether it be diagnostics or access to drugs for diseases. So I'll read out the mission statement real quick. But essentially at Drug Print, we've created a newly created diagnostic and drug printing technology unit to solve the problem of lack of medicine drug accessibility designed for patients and physicians in rural and remote areas. So it would be appealing to Alberta Health Services or other similar services worldwide. Essentially what this product would do, it would appeal to health services jurisdictions who serve communities in rural or hard to access locations. So for example, Indigenous communities or rural parts of Alberta or across the world. What the product would be, it would be essentially a 3D sort of, it's from the concept of a 3D printer, but it would have all the components of drugs to create the ideal drug for a patient. So the product would be twofold. One is diagnosing the patients, and two is creating the specified drug based on foundational units that are in that device. So we would be making money by selling the products to governments or health services, working with the World Health Organization, other things like that. And the first step to take to achieve the goal is to partner with appropriate agencies and create the technology.
Yay. Okay. So what problem does it solve? Nicole, would you like to go through this?
Sure. Okay, so I can talk about this one. So basically, this technology basically solves the lack of access of healthcare in certain parts of the world, including like developing countries and like remote communities that don't necessarily have immediate access to healthcare. And yeah, so another problem it solves is there's often time delays between diagnosis and treatment. Sometimes those time delays can be pretty critical in figuring out what's wrong and actually treating it appropriately. And also just a lack of physicians in those remote regions as well.
Thank you. And who will use it? So every human being in the planet will have access to it because we will potentially have one in these remote areas. And because in the future we want to provide universal access to it. And Hadija, could you go through the threats to our product?
Yeah, threats we face is pharmaceutical companies that, you know, could be challenging through having first their help actually, because we will need an access to databases basically to, the other thing is insufficient power supplies, as these areas are remote and could be, you know, there'll be lack of power supplies. This could be another struggle. Quality monitoring, as this could be running daily. So that could be also monitored to make sure it will meet the quality that we want it to be. And being less funded, as this will be something that would go forever. So funding should be also something constant.
Yeah. And who can help us develop our product? So we thought of potential funders, the United Nations, World Health Organizations, and non-government agencies or organizations that also share that goal of providing universal access to every human being, to design the product. Engineering companies, some pharmaceutical companies could partner with us to provide those building blocks that Joel was talking about, these molecules that would be needed to build the perfect medicine for these patients. And also, who would be taking those molecules that the 3D printer, diagnostic printer would need. So we thought that maybe a drone company that can take those supplies to each printer could help us develop our product. And that's it. That's how we're.
Well done, you guys. I'm very impressed you managed to come up with a PowerPoint on such short notice. Certainly not expected, but nicely done.
That's our logo.
Wow. I don't know how you did that, but
you made it.
We don't know either.
We just found a picture on the internet and added drug print, so it's not any artistic skills here.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for the government, it'll work for us. So I think you alluded to this a little bit. What about the land of unintended consequences? What might go wrong with changing the way drug manufacturing is done?
Yeah, so Hadi touched base on that, because some maybe pharmaceutical companies could see us as competitors. So maybe the way around that would be to team with them and tell them, hey, don't look at us as a competitor, but look at us as a facilitator for your product to reach these remote areas. But I don't know, what do you think, everyone?
Yeah, I believe that could be, as you said, a teamwork, because in the same way that would provide these medications, we need these pharmaceutical companies to help look at them before, to give yes for this medication to go to this person. It wouldn't be just that machine would do all the work on its own.
And I think to add on, I think another big issue is quality control to ensure that patients are getting the proper diagnosis from that machine and then able to get the exact drug that they need. So having, maybe even confirmation with a real physician in a different part of the world to confirm that medication is right.
Am I allowed to ask a question or
Yeah,
add a
sorry,
potential?
Yeah, go ahead.
So drug abuse is a really huge issue in the world, and I'm just wondering, wouldn't there potentially also be an issue with if this got in the wrong hands, or if someone got access to this, they could just mass produce opioids and abuse them themselves, or
Breaking Bad part 2.
Yeah, which is why we were in our group, we were actually having some great discussions around who to partner with, and one of them was the government, and it would have to be very tightly regulated, and there would be state-of-the-art technology to ensure security, and that it's only licensed by certain recognized or accredited institutions.
And I think we would also limit it to non-controlled substances, especially at first, until there is that security aspect there, because I think issuing controlled substances through this would be a huge issue.
I think what could go wrong? All right, so I don't want to shortchange the other team, so you guys get a full 5 minutes. So I will turn it over to you.
Okay. I guess I can just start with. Can we go to the first slide? Okay, so our big kind of issue that we want to look at is combating climate change. This is me, Devansh, Kayleen, and
Leanne.
Okay. So you can go to the next. So the problem that we want to solve is that there's a huge issue with fast fast fashion in the world. So the consumption accounts for 8% of GHG emissions in the world. Canadian households throw out about 14 kilograms of clothing per year, which a lot of that can actually be recycled. So there's an increasing amount of consumerism and fashion waste that's happening. So our solution is to repurpose these old fabrics, add a coating to it that can then be used to wipe up oil and fat spills. So
I can do
if
that.
anyone,
Yeah.
okay.
So in terms of who would use it and buy it, we kind of thought about how the supply chain would work. So suppliers would be individual households who have old clothes, or retailers such as Winners and Marshalls, where we would be able to purchase at a smaller price like their old clothing and old fabrics, and then end up repurposing that and handing that off to end consumers, which would be big oil companies. So for example, in the last presentation that we saw, those rags that could be used to actually clean up oil spills, those would be using the larger fabrics and sewing them together. And then for individual households, so packaging them differently so that people can use them as dish rags. So these would just be more individualized and in obviously like smaller sized fabrics. So I'll hand it off to Kaylin to go through our threats and hurdles.
Sure. So having a look at some of our threats, like Leanne said, we do see that we have a high cost of entry. So to combat this, we would partner with another company that already has this technology in order to kind of put our two resources together and really make real change. The second hurdle that we could see is spreading awareness. So maybe not a lot of people know about this technology or our company. So to combat this, we would have a marketing campaign across many different channels, such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the whole lot. And we would also use a hashtag called Combating Climate Change One Garment at a Time. We would shorten this, obviously, but that is still in the works. And yes, whose help would we seek? So I will go through this quickly as well. So first, we will look for another company to partner with adequate technological capabilities. So this would be a company with that existing chemical and technological studies that have the ability to make these rags into something that will help combat the oil spills. We will also contact climate change action groups. So these could be anyone from influencers to go green. And then we will also look into contacting the government, so federal agencies, provincial agencies, and municipal.
I can do this one. And yeah, so our first steps would be to reach out to these partner organizations to see if they can aid us, mostly in what Kaylin mentioned before. A big part of that would be, of course, research that would be needed into this to first establish a baseline for the condition that the fabrics would need to be in to be able to be used and to be coated with the special chemical, I guess, that would allow it to be more porous or to absorb oils more easily. And yeah, so those will be our first steps.
Well done. So here's a question for the team. Is there any thought that perhaps, again, talking about unintended consequences, is there any thought that maybe what unintended consequences will you run into? So for example, maybe will the manufacturing cost of this absorbent oil, will it actually exceed and create more emissions? Did you guys have any of that discussion when you were coming together with your project?
I think we, not directly on this topic, we did talk a little bit about even thinking about EVs and things like that. Part of it is to look at the net effect of it. So seeing as a lot of people are throwing away clothing and that ends up in landfills, which then a lot of the times I think people just end up burning it, which is even worse for the environment. So really just researching ways to repurpose this fabric, and if it happens that the absorbent is actually producing more emissions, another route could be to repurpose them just as like normal dish rags so that people don't keep throwing out their clothes and they can use it, and it has a longer lifespan as a product.
Any other questions? Well answered, well put together. You both teams amazed me by putting together some pretty good PowerPoints, so good on you all. Any comments from any of the other participants or teams at all?
Do you think that other fashion companies would see you as a threat at some point?
I don't think they would see us as a threat per se. I think that they would see us as kind of taking the waste away. So they're not necessarily going to be using this clothing. So at the end of the day, if some place like Winners has a bunch of overstock that they want to get rid of, we could buy that for a small price and then make it into something good for the environment. And they're also getting some money that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten.
Perfect. All right, so we are over time. So I will leave you to think about this on your own time. But did you guys enjoy this exercise? Did you find it valuable? Did you learn anything about collaboration, team building?
Yeah. Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I loved it because my teammates came with ideas that I had not even thought about, but then we each build up on each other's contributions. So that was fantastic.
Perfect. Any other insights, takeaways, changes to the brainstorming rules that you would add based on what you experienced?
I really liked it too, kind of just to voice Eduardo or revoice him. We kind of came with an initial idea, and then as we kind of got talking about different issues, it kind of morphed into something totally different. So it was really cool to see, and we worked together really well too, I think.
Yeah, from my side, I just hopped between groups and, the discussion kept going very well. You adapted to a whole new format beautifully. And you are the first technology in the future medicine class to have ever done this workshop virtually. So give yourselves a round of applause. You guys did great.
Well done, guys.
Yeah, you guys rocked it. So as always, I hope you got a lot out of this session. Kaylin, your hand's up. Oh, that's applause. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so if you have any questions going forward, let me know. I think I'm back for one more panel session on Tuesday. And other than that, just feel free to contact me. I hope you got a lot out of the design and innovation lecture, out of space medicine, which I obviously am biased towards, and just learning about how to build on ideas and foster products, innovation, and crazy ideas yourself.
Hey, great. Thank you.
All right, have a good week. And next time, birds are mandatory for all.
Sounds good.